Hi, I'm Jim Ledbetter. I'm the editor of Ink Magazine and Ink.com. I'm joined today by another Jim, Jim Dwyer, a columnist, reporter with the New York Times, and author of the brand new book, More Awesome Than Money. And having finished it, Jim, I can say it is more awesome than money. Well done. Before we get into the meat of the book, I've been reading your work for longer than either of us would want to admit. When I think of you, I think of A Little Cops and Robbers, a lot of 9/11. I don't think of you as a business reporter or a tech reporter. How did this project come about?
My wife actually heard about these kids. She's a scholar in the field of privacy and social media, and she heard about them from a seminar group at NYU, and she said, you know, these boys are doing very well, raising money on Kickstarter for a project to develop a different kind of social network.
A lot of companies have a kind of origin myth.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
They all got together in the computer club at NYU to build one of the first MakerBots. It was a 3D printer. And they went to this talk by a man named Eben Moglen, and he gave a talk called Freedom in the Cloud about the unwitting surrender of personal data to websites and apps, and said there's no reason for this. We can do better. We're technologists. We built Linux and GNU Linux, and we built the foundation of the free internet. Let's build a better social network.
So it's not that surprising that four very bright undergraduates on the kind of fringes of the programming activist community would have this idea. What is a little surprising, maybe more than a little surprising, is that they could raise money for it more or less overnight. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The way Kickstarter works, probably most people know, but you set a goal, a fundraising goal. In their case, they set $10,000. They wanted to have enough money to have ramen for the summer, right, and be able to hang out.
Crazy amount of $10,000.
Yes, in someone's mom's basement and just code all the time. And by the time I heard about them, they had already raised more than double that. And the reason was that Facebook, which every 4 or 6 months goes through some spasms of causing anxiety about their privacy practices, not unwarranted usually. Facebook had just done another one of these things where they were announcing sort of yet another appropriation of your space online. And people were really ticked off about that and upset, and they were just starting to awaken to what this meant. And they got 10 times what they had. So they ended up with about $200,000 and a lot of people following them.
And even though they explicitly were organizing their company around the idea of opposing Facebook, wasn't Mark Zuckerberg one of their donors?
Mark Zuckerberg found them to be charming and in the same, you know, he saw a lot of himself in them, he said, and I think that's probably true.
I want to try and describe for viewers exactly what they were trying to do to make Diaspora different.
So their concept was to build a distributed social network. What did that mean? It meant that instead of having all of your stuff sit in a server at Facebook, you would have your stuff sit in a little server in your house. And your data would be preserved there. And so instead of being centralized, it would be decentralized. Right. It's a funny thing. I think people who are not into technology, that would include myself, don't quite understand what it is a bunch of web pages, right? And they hold certain content in there and they load it up very quickly and brilliantly and beautifully. But that's what it is, just a bunch of web pages, and anyone can make a web page.